Big day on Capitol Hill. FBI Director James Comey answering questions about whether the Trump campaign colluded with the Russians and also whether there's any proof that Trump Tower was wiretapped by the Obama administration. Meanwhile, just down the hall, Supreme Court nominee Neil Gorsuch faces the Senate Judiciary Committee. We'll play you a chunk of the confirmation hearing and then talk to a Washington Post reporter who's covering all the action. Also, Hillary Clinton says she is out of the woods and ready to speak, but is this what the Democratic Party really needs right now? Good evening and welcome to RFL. I'm Andrew Whitman, in tonight for Richard French. And we begin tonight on Capitol Hill and the hearing on Russia, where FBI Director James Comey was the star.
Unprecedented. FBI Director James Comey on the public record confirming his agency is investigating Russia's alleged contact with the Trump campaign.
Because it is an open, ongoing investigation and is classified, I cannot say more about what we are doing and whose conduct we are examining.
Comey on Russian President Vladimir Putin's possible motive in meddling in the 2016 election.
Putin hated Secretary Clinton so much that the flip side of that coin was he had a clear preference for the person running against the person he hated so much.
But on possible collusion with Trump associates, no comment from Comey or NSA Chief Mike Rogers.
Investigating it and having proof of it are two different things. So you can continue to look for something, but continuing to look for something that doesn't exist doesn't matter.
Like the president who tweeted about the hearing, House Intelligence Committee Republicans mostly highlighted the leaks of classified information. The Democrats focus on the Russia investigation and this extraordinary moment.
With respect to the president's tweets about alleged wiretapping directed at him by the prior administration, I have no information that supports those tweets.
Comey shut down Trump's unsubstantiated claims that President Obama wiretapped him. The president has said he meant surveillance when referring to wiretapping.
I get that you guys want to know the end of the book right now, but we're on the first chapter of this process.
Well, the Comey hearing was going on all day while most people were at work. We wanted to play a chunk of it for you so that you could see just a little bit of what you missed.
Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member Schiff, members of the committee, thank you for including me in today's hearing. I'm honored to be here representing the people of the FBI. I hope we have shown you through our actions and our words how much we at the FBI value your oversight of our work and how much we respect your responsibility to investigate those things that are important to the American people. Thank you for showing that both are being taken very seriously. As you know, our practice is not to confirm the existence of ongoing investigations, especially those investigations that involve classified matters. But in unusual circumstances, where it is in the public interest, it may be appropriate to do so, as Justice Department policies recognize. This is one of those circumstances. I have been authorized by the Department of Justice to confirm that the FBI, as part of our counterintelligence mission, is investigating the Russian government's efforts to interfere in the 2016 presidential election. And that includes investigating the nature of any links between individuals associated with the Trump campaign and the Russian government, and whether there was any coordination between the campaign and Russia's efforts.
Director Comey, I want to begin by attempting to put to rest several claims made by the president about his predecessor, namely that President Obama wiretapped his phones. So that we can be precise, I want to refer you to exactly what the president said and ask you whether there is any truth to it. First, the president claimed, quote, "Terrible. Just found out that Obama had my wires tapped in Trump Tower just before the victory. Nothing found. This is McCarthyism," unquote. Director Comey, was the president's statement that Obama had his wires tapped in Trump Tower a true statement?
With respect to the president's tweets about alleged wiretapping directed at him by the prior administration, I have no information that supports those tweets, and we have looked carefully inside the FBI. The Department of Justice has asked me to share with you that the answer is the same for the Department of Justice and all its components. The department has no information that supports those tweets.
The president accused Mr. Obama and presumably the FBI of engaging in McCarthyism. As you understand the term McCarthyism, do you think President Obama or the FBI was engaged in such conduct?
I'm not going to try and characterize the tweets themselves. All I can tell you is we have no information that supports them.
Were you engaged in McCarthyism, Director Comey?
Try very hard not to engage in any isms of any kind, including McCarthyism.
The president second stated, quote, "Is it legal for a sitting president to be wiretapping a race for president prior to an election? Turned down by a court earlier, a new low," unquote. Director Comey, can you answer the president's question? Would it be legal for President Obama to have ordered a wiretap of Donald Trump?
I'm not going to characterize or respond to the tweets themselves. I can tell you in general, as Admiral Rogers and I were just saying, there is a statutory framework in the United States under which courts grant permission for electronic surveillance, either in a criminal case or a national security case, based on a showing of probable cause, carefully overseen. It's a rigorous process that involves all three branches of government, and it's one we've lived with since the late 1970s. That's how it works. So no individual in the United States can direct electronic surveillance of anyone. It has to go through an application process, ask a judge. The judge can then make the order.
What specifically, based on this loudness, did the FBI or the NSA do to prevent or counter this Russian active measure that we read about in the intelligence community assessment? As loud as they were, what did we do to counter that?
Well, among other things, we alerted people who had been victims of intrusions to permit them to tighten their systems to see if they couldn't kick the Russian actors out. We also, as a government, supplied information to all the states so they could equip themselves to make sure there was no successful effort to affect the vote, and there was none, as we said earlier. And then the government as a whole, in October, called it out. And I believe it was Director Clapper and then Secretary Jay Johnson issued a statement saying this is what the Russians are doing. It's sort of an inoculation.
And the loudness to which you refer, perhaps they were doing these kinds of actions previously in other elections, but they were not doing it as loudly. Why do you think that they did not mind being loud and being found out?
I don't know the answer for sure. I think their number one mission is to undermine the credibility of our entire democracy enterprise of this nation. And so it might be that they wanted us to help them by telling people what they were doing. Their loudness, in a way, would be counting on us to amplify it by telling the American people what we saw and freaking people out about how the Russians might be undermining our elections successfully.
So that is the word from James Comey. Up next, our political panel is here to discuss all the revelations coming out from the Comey hearing.